Over the last 10 years, Rocket League has evolved with hundreds of mechanics. Some game-changing, like speed flips, to others, not so game-changing. And over the past 4 years, I've built the #1 coaching service in Rocket League. Through that, I've got to work with some of the best pros and pro coaches in the world. I've learned that if you're serious about hitting GC or even SSL, you don't need to waste time learning every single mechanic. Because in this video, I'll break down the only 40 mechanics you need to rank up. I'll show you how to learn them 2 times or 3 times as fast as your average Diamond 2 teammate, and I'll help you avoid the mistakes that slow the average player down. Plus, I'll crown 5 mechanics, 1 for each category, that are category kings. I've put together a free spreadsheet with every training pack you'll need for this video. So you can either watch, or if you want, you can train with me while we go in real time. Click the first link in the description below, and you'll find the spreadsheet at the top of my free Discord server. Let's get into it. Okay. The mission of Rocket League is simple: hit the ball. And the #1 reason people struggle with this is, guess what? Bad settings. If your settings are wrong, everything in Rocket League will feel hard. So there are 4 critical settings you need to fix first. #1, camera settings. #2, control bindings. #3, dead zones and sensitivities. And #4, camera shake. You might think this is obvious, but trust me, I've even coached Grand Champs with bad settings. Spoiler, I'm the Grand Champ 3 with bad settings. Sadly, I use the former pro player Rizzo's controls, which means I drive with my joystick. It's really bad. Don't be like me. Rocket League has 50 plus important competitive settings, and if you never watched a guide, I promise you, you will mess something up. I've made multiple settings videos to fix your settings. Go watch them after this video. Okay, 5 categories: shooting, dribbling, recoveries, defense, and aerial stuff. I will be explaining what it is, the use case, the recommended rank, and any specific tips I have for you as we go. And hopefully this recording doesn't crash midway through. Camille, can we get Subway Surfers in the top left? So that way the Zoomers don't fall asleep while I teach them the mechanics. Oh my God, terrible, terrible. Let's move on to recoveries. First one is Powerslide Turns. I'm not starting with the stuff like wave dashes, half flips, although, you know, we'll get to all those in a second. Powerslide Turns, many low-ranked players don't realize how important this is. Like, this ball is going to blue net, you're trying to hit it to orange, you're trying to turn left, you just miss it. So this is where Powerslide Turns can become very important for making precise touches. It just makes your movement around the field that much more effective. You know, you can go around the field, hit the ball one way, and just try to make a tight turn and hit it again. At the low ranks, you will miss this ball so many times that just rolling the ball somewhere, driving around it, and then trying to turn into it, this will be enough of a challenge for you. Let's talk about another use case of Powerslide. This is mechanic number 16. It's separate. I'm gonna call it Powerslide On Landing. So recovering using Powerslide. This is a different application. So as you'll see, 2 versions of landing off the wall. Landing like this, screeching stop, versus landing like this. Still going. The difference there is just holding Powerslide. That's the only difference with those 2 maneuvers that I did. A very effective drill is just jumping off the wall, landing sideways, and holding Powerslide until you can flip and get back on track. You want to make it a habit of holding Powerslide nearly any time you're bumped or every time you land. Situationally, you'll want to stop moving, but most of the time, you'll want to maintain your speed. So Powerslide on landing, very, very important as its own mechanic, I would say. Mechanic number 17, using air roll to recover. So this is just the act of going from an aerial, being spun out, pressing a bunch of buttons, to getting back to the landing position and driving off. Again, this is turning, using air roll to get back to the landing position and driving off. Now, this can be used off the wall. This can be used in aerials. If it's off the wall, you're just going to want to air roll in the direction of the wall. If it's on aerials, it's a little more complicated. But the idea is you want to get comfortable at holding air roll until you get flat. A trick you can use if you don't know where's up and where's down and you just drove off the ceiling and you're super confused, you can just air roll until you get back to a position you know. And this is not a precise method. You'll want to get better over time. But if you accidentally turn the wrong way on the wall, well, you could just keep air rolling until you get back to the grounded state. So it's not the end of the world. Start learning that as soon as gold or platinum. Number 18, the wave dash. What is the wave dash? It's a way to cancel your flip or reset your flip animation to be able to control your car quicker. So normally, when you front flip, your car is flipping for this entire time. With a wave dash, if we do that front flip, but we do it into a surface, an immovable object like the floor in Rocket League, well, the animation is going to stop and we can flip again immediately. So put side by side, if you're just front flipping, you have to front flip, wait till you land, and front flip again. Whereas if we wave dash, we can flip immediately. We just got 2 flips in the span of less than a second. And so that's the reason that the wave dash helps you move around the field faster. Now, contrary to popular belief, it's not faster to run around the field like this than it is flipping. In fact, this is slower if you don't use recovery mechanics in between. And the reason is because if we just front flip around the field, the speed boost is happening initially. Whereas if we wave dash, the speed boost is happening a little bit later. More commonly, the use case of a wave dash is off the wall. So if you're getting grounded, it's not faster to jump and then flip because, like I mentioned earlier, flipping prones you midair. It freezes your height. So it took us a while to get grounded there again before we could flip. Whereas if you jump off the ball and you wave dash, now we can use our flip immediately. So I won't teach you guys how to do the wave dash because that's conceptually what it is. How-tos, I'll have tutorials linked in the description. But the idea with the wave dash is it's the fastest way to recover. You know, both off the wall, off a ceiling, like in a squishy save. I'll show this in a second. And in many other use cases around the field and in some more advanced mechanics like Zap Dashes, we'll cover those in a second. Learn the most basic version of these as soon as Platinum. I think mechanic number 20, half flip. A half flip is a flip cancel used to turn your car around. So what it is it's a backwards flip cancel followed by air roll. So that's why we covered air roll before. Now mechanic 21 is the flip cancel. A flip cancel can be used on a front flip, or it can be used on a back flip to stop your flip midway. It can also be used in more advanced mechanics like speed flips, which is a sort of combo mechanic. But the whole idea with a flip cancel is you're freezing the flip animation. The way you do this is by pushing your joystick opposite the direction you dodge. So a front flip cancel is executed by you pushing forward to flip and then pulling down to stop the animation. And if you hold, it'll hold the animation, or it'll hold the freeze, of the animation. If you let go, it'll return the animation. So that's the idea with a flip cancel. It can be used in a lot of different recovery mechanics, like the one I'm showing you here. I'll cover this extra one in a second. Flip cancels, you should learn the most basic form as soon as Platinum. That way you can learn more advanced forms like the speed flip in Diamond. The next mechanic up on the list is the speed flip, one of the most important mechanics in competitive Rocket League. I would argue probably the most important because of the skill jump you'll get. It's one of the skill spikes in your Rocket League career. When you unlock the speed flip, you just dominate on kickoffs. You become faster than everybody in your lobby. You can do really crazy things off the wall that nobody else can do because you can speed flip. And your shots are also faster and your flicks are also better. So speed flips is just like this massive power spike that you get. So it's really important you learn how to speed flip. I would learn it as soon as I was Diamond. I would maybe even learn it in Platinum just because of how game changing the mechanic is. I think eventually we'll be at a point in this game state where people learn the speed flip in Platinum. It's just so, it's such an insane mechanic in terms of power spike. The amount of uses, and I'm just like trying to show you guys a couple here, whether you're air dribbling, whether you're ground dribbling, whether you're going for flicks, whether you're recovering back quickly, whether you're doing a back wall air dribble with like a partial flip cancel. It can look something like, let me try to show you again. It can look something like this. It's just so effective as a mechanic. Number 23, Zap Dashes or Sonic Flips. So these were first discovered and called Sonic Flips. I made a tutorial on them like 3 years ago when people were kind of hyping them up, and then popularized in the last year, I would say, by a 1v1 player named A Zapatos. He's top 10 routinely in NA at least. And it's a way to quickly lift your nose by jumping as you land. So it looks like this. You land with your car a little forward and you jump and it kicks your nose up. Very useful for like zero boost 1v1 recovery. So like, let's say you're flipping back and you can't boost right now. I can flip forward, angle my nose down, flip forward, angle, I'm scuffing it. Flip forward, angle my nose down, jump, and then use a second wave dash really fast. And now I'm supersonic. And previously that is like an unheard of speed boost. So the Zap Dash is some really cool 1v1 tech. Not necessary to get SSL. If you want, you can learn it GC plus, I would say. Apart from that, the timing is too rare and like inconsistent to really need, but it looks super sick, so I learned it for fun. Next up is the curve dash. This is kind of an honorable mention. I'll put it as an honorable mention, even though it's 24 on my list. It's less useful than the Zap Dash because you can only use it on the curves of the field. So the way the curve dash works is if you're on a back wall here, many of you have probably had this happen accidentally. If you try to jump while going on a curve in Rocket League, the game will eat your jump. See how I just ate it? I got no jump. Well, we can abuse that if we jump late to basically lift our nose up and get a Zap Dash. You just saw it there. This isn't really necessary because you could just go like this and wave dash off the wall. But if you like, for some reason, landed on the back wall right here and you can't really wave dash, you can do that. Curve dash, completely optional. SSL plus, if not like just like a side quest or like GC plus, but just a side quest. Next up, 25, we have the wall dash. I should just put this as an honorable mention. Honestly, all these things are honorable mentions, like Zap Dash, Curve Dash, Wall Dash, and even one of the next two that I'll say are honorable mentions. The wall dash is the fastest way to get a flip on the wall. It looks like this. It's a small speed boost. It's not as significant as like a front flip for some reason, but it's like a quick shuffle where you can get like a speed boost on the wall, and you can get up to supersonic like a little bit faster. The way it's performed is by jumping quickly while flicking your joystick left to right. I learned it. It's cool as a celebration. It's not that game-changing or that useful. So it's like a side quest once again. This is like SSL plus or GC, like maybe GC plus, but like it's not necessary at all to get SSL, just because the use case is so rare. But it can be interesting. The pros know how to do it, or at least many of them do. So that's the idea of the wall dash. Next up is the squishy save. This is probably GC1. I would say this is a GC1 mechanic. It's useful, not just for saving the ball like this, but also just as a recovery mechanic. So let's say use case like you're dribbling, you flick it. Let's do a little bit more of a boomer flick. You're dribbling, you flick it over the net, you land in your opponent's net. Now we need to recover back. We're jumping, we're air rolling, and we're wave dashing down. I'll show you this slowly. Jump, air roll, wave dash. One more time. Jump, air roll, wave dash. Fastest way to get in and out of the net, and you can also use it in specific cases like this to float up and get a clear. Or if the ball's coming like a little lower, you can jump and save. It can be used for clears and various situations, but really GC plus, because most of the time you should not be doing this like in and out of your net if you're, you know, a champ player. And finally, in the recovery section, I'm going to put the Mena Flip. It's kind of optional. I will also consider it a side quest. Maybe I could say it's like GC2 or GC3 plus. So it's a high GC mechanic, and you could do it as a lower rank just for like lulz and looking cool. Like you could learn it as soon as champ just for lulz, but it's like it's not going to help you rank up that much. At least not as much as like learning how to air dribble or air roll shot or wall shot or any of those things. What's the idea with the Mena Flip? You're air rolling into the wall, and speed flipping away from it. Air rolling in, speed flipping away. If you time it right and your distance is right, the point at which your speed flip sort of spins you left will be the point that your wheels are facing the wall. If you really wanted to like find a use case for this, it's like, okay, you're pinching the ball, you're trying to take a 50, then we're flipping, we're wall dashing, and then we're starting an aerial play. Definitely useful in like a 1v1 scenario. Somewhat useful in a 2 scenario. Gets a little bit more important as you rank up. In champ, like the margins are not, you know, you're not losing in champ because you don't know how to Mena Flip. You're losing in champ because like you're missing opens, but you can learn it if you want. And I guess honorable mention, we do have demos. I'd say the 2 most common use cases that are missed at the low ranks, I'll show you here. Use case number 1 is on a run through. So a run through, which was taught to me by my coach Shock, coach in the GCB, shameless plug, go join our paid community. Run through, you're passing the ball to the middle, and then you're leaving it and running through the net going for demos. This is highly, highly, highly effective at the low rank. Whenever the play is dead, AKA there's no real scoring opportunity. You can just leave the ball and drive through. Not enough low rank players do this. So many low rank players just focus on the ball and they don't realize when a play is kind of dead and when you can go around and just look for demos. So that's a common situation to look for demos, is on these run through plays. You'll hit the ball into the corner, you'll pass it to your teammate in the middle, and then we're trying to demo the defender who's back post or front post or a net. Another use case for a demo is in 2v1 situations. So those 2v1 situations are useful for demos. Now, important when you're going for demos, they're much more effective when you and your teammate and the opponent are all on the same side. So imagine the ball is here and everybody is on the left side of the field. You're dribbling the ball, your teammate's in front of you, demoing the guy on the left post, and then you dribble it in here. Less effective are demos where you and your teammate are over here, but the opponent is back in their right corner. Because if the opponent's in the right corner, your teammate's got to go across the field to go demo him. The opponent can dodge your teammate and still get to you, and then you might get dunked, and the ball's going back at your side. So the idea is use demos when you can run through and use demos when you have 2v1s, but make sure that the opponent is on the same side as you or at least close enough to your teammate that the likelihood of him getting the demo is high. Because what you don't want is for your teammate to go look for a demo and the opponent is so far away that he basically just turned it into a 1v1. Not effective. You should be demoing as early as plat, but run-throughs specifically and 2v1 demos, I would say run-throughs are useful as early as diamond, and 2v1 demos start to pay off in champ when you have a little bit of team coordination and people are smart enough to do it. For recovery mechanics, the crown goes to speed flips. Once you learn speed flips, you will gain an edge on every single kickoff. Since kickoffs are the only mechanic guaranteed to happen every game, speed flips win. That's the idea with the recovery mechanics. We're gonna move on to everybody's favorite, aerials. Quickly, before we get into the next section, I have a huge announcement. For the first time in 4 years, I'm opening up a small number of one-on-one coaching sessions with me. But before I get into the details, let me just say this is not a decision I made lightly. Here's how it's gonna work. I'll be bookable with just 5 sessions each week. My time will be expensive, and it has to be considering the opportunity cost of just being a YouTuber. I'll have my one-on-one coaching page first link in the video description below. So click the first link below to get all the details and get coaching with me. But before you run off, here's the thing. If you're looking for the best value coaching, I'm gonna be real with you. Do not book me. My one-on-one sessions are just for people who want to talk to me specifically. So if you want to book with me, I'd love to talk with you. But if you're looking for better value, these are my top 5 favorite pros that have coached me. They are all SSL. They are all over 10,000 hours. And not only are they better than me, guess what? They also cost less. So whether you go with me or any of the other coaches listed, thank you for trusting me and letting me help with your Rocket League journey, and good luck. So the first one, let's talk about double jump aerials. So double jump aerial is, as it sounds, simple. Back-to-back jumps using boost, defensive saves, or just scoring the ball. When the ball is not too high in the air, let's say just a little over goal height, you don't necessarily need to do a fast aerial. You can score with just a double jump one. I am just tapping jump both times immediately after while holding down boost the whole time. This is effective. I would say you should learn this as soon as platinum, and you should get more comfortable with, air roll and some of these other recovery mechanics. Or I mean, aerial mechanics once we start to get to diamond and champ. But we'll talk about that in a second. Next up is the fast aerial. Now the difference between a double jump aerial and a fast aerial is the sequence of the jumps. So to get a ball in front of you, a double jump aerial will get you there in the fastest time possible. To get to a ball that is high in the air, so I'm going to switch to a pack called High Aerials by Weightin. To get a ball that's up here, double jumps are slightly slower than a different type of aerial. And that type of aerial is a fast aerial. The difference is sequence. So instead of tap tap on the jumps, we're going to jump tilt jump. And the reason this is faster is because it gets our nose up sooner. The risk that new players have when they do this is it looks like this. They backflip, and that's because they hold down their joystick too long on the second jump. So it's pull down, let go, jump. Done quickly, it can look like this. And it's the fastest way to get a ball that's all the way up here. You should learn a double jump aerial as soon as platinum. You should learn a fast aerial. When you can learn it in platinum, I think they start to become more relevant in diamond. So I'll say fast aerial. I'll say fast aerial in platinum. So you want to learn these double jump aerials and fast aerials and get the difference, and most importantly, get the muscle memory down, because you'll use that a lot just to save the ball or score the ball. And low rank players just don't know how to. They just don't have the consistency on this stuff yet. But let's move on to wall to air dribbles Useful once you start to get into, you can learn them as soon as diamond. The deal with the wall to air dribble is just getting multiple touches on the ball. So if a defender is attacking you immediately on the wall, very effective to go for the wall shot that we learned earlier. It'll go in. If the defender is waiting, less effective. You want to be able to generate multiple touches. You want to be able to hit the ball here. Wait. Okay, you challenge and you hit it over. Wall to air dribbles can be practiced as soon as diamond. They are definitely overtrained, but you know, I don't think I'm going to stop that. They're super useful. Of all the advanced aerial mechanics, double taps, ceiling shots, flip resets, air dribbles are the most practical. I would learn them first if I could go back. Cookie cutter pack for this, or Yield Faithful. Most popular pack of all time, potentially in Rocket League. Wall to air dribble by IP Joker. 3 shots, 3 distances. Nice one. Close, medium, far. Close air dribble. Medium air dribble. Far air dribble. Or close air dribble. They're out of order for me, okay? I've got the training variants on. You want to aim to score this upper half, you can use the plugin I have. Very useful. Air rolling in the direction of the wall for beginners. Air rolling left. Air rolling using directional for advanced players, regardless of what wall you're on. And very useful to learn air dribbles. We'll get into more advanced like kind of variations of this, but the fundamental air dribble you can learn as early as diamond. Come on, give me on unlimited boosts. Why are we not on unlimited boosts? Air dribble bumps, demos. Probably a champ mechanic, extremely useful. Key with an air dribble bump, we want to hit the ball far enough to the objective that it would force a jump. What you don't want to do is you don't want to hit it forward like this and then go for the bump out here, because they can dodge your demo and still come back in time to save the ball. We want to get the ball to the objective, so usually that's making 1 or 2 touches on the ball, and then after our second or third touch, we are boosting out in front of it. We're making a soft touch on the hood of our car. You can do this by just positioning your car forward so it kind of grazes it. Ball kind of grazes the hood of your car. And then you just tilt your nose forward and you're trying to demo the guy under it. It's very useful because if you get the ball close enough to the net, they either have to jump or they have to get demoed, and they usually can't stop both. And recommended rank for air dribble bump, let's say champ. Really useful for, you know, demos and confusing opponents. Ground to air dribble, lifting the ball from a bounce dribble to an air dribble. Pack code for this is realistic air dribbles. This is super important. I would practice this in champ 3+. Okay, so situation is the ball's rolling to you. We want to take it over 1 and generate a threat in the air that forces the second jump. The way you do this is by timing your second jump. So that way you take off with the ball on target. On this specific shot, and I could do a full demo on this, I sent out a private video where Shock explained this to my email list. You guys really like that, so I'll link that in the description. But the full demo of this pack is, the full range of this pack is using boost timing, using even, you know, pre-flips like speed flips to take the ball forward. In this case, holding your jump to create. In this case, getting under it and using your second jump to lift the ball. So we have to strike it on like kind of an angle with the diagonal of our car, and then hold our second jump to be able to lift and get height on this air dribble. You have situations like this where you just need to power through it and use air roll to reduce knockback in order to get enough power. You have this situation where the ball's bouncing low, so we're actually only going to use 1 jump. This is like champ 3 GC1. Very important to practice these situations because this is the more common air dribble opportunity you'll get in game. You know, you need to be able to time your second jump so that way this hit, at least for a lot of you starting, will look like that. It's not really air dribble. It'll look like that. Can't really air dribble that. You have to be very precise with how you hit it. This one probably wouldn't even work in game, but I can score it because I have unlimited boost right now. You need to use that second jump to get a controlled, like kind of floating touch, but still something that is, that's scoreable. You can even practice like ceiling doubles. We'll get into this in a second. But these are all what I would call realistic air dribbles or ground to air dribbles. Situations that are more common in game, you need to be able to self-set up these because you're not going to get your IP Joker wall to air dribble all the time. Start learning these as soon as champ 3. Next up is ceiling shots. We can use this same pack. There are a couple ceiling shots in realistic air dribbles. These are a champ plus mechanic. You can learn them as soon as diamond. I just don't think they're that useful. Ideal with the ceiling shot is we are using the ceiling to get an infinite jump, right? Because if we fall off here, our jump is untimed. And we can jump to the ceiling to get off faster. We can jump to the ceiling, jump off the ceiling, and do like crazy stuff, like kind of like try to reset into the ball. You can go on ceiling, you can go off ceiling, you can try like double. Or you can just do like the traditional drive up, fall down, flip. Important to remember, your height pauses when you flip. So if we're gonna flip below the ball, it'll actually connect with the ball because your car's flipping. If you hit it off the ceiling, you'll have to jump and go faster. But there are ways that you can, recover hitting it off the ceiling, or at least make hitting it off the ceiling good at a higher rank, like going for, a double reset, or you can, some people now are going for like ground doubles very commonly on offense. But that's the idea with the ceiling shot. Champ Plus mechanic, a lot of variations that you can practice. You can practice getting resets. You can practice just scoring the ball. You can practice, maybe trying to double it. Let's see if we can get a double. Almost. Flip reset. Regaining a flip by touching all 4 wheels to the ball. So IP Joker is the pack that you will start to learn this. But as you get more advanced, we want to be able to create from a little bit of distance off the wall. So like the reason like a shot like this is difficult, like shot 5 in realistic air dribbles, because it's falling off the wall. So if you just do it like the traditional air dribble setup, you won't hit the ball in a way that's recoverable, that you can continue the dribble. And so we have to do a small tap of our jump to get the ball off the wall, and then we're using a little bit of air roll and boost to chase after it. This tapping of the joystick, for the same reason that, tapping reduces the jump timer, it also reduces the height of your jump. And so we can create very specific touches by getting accustomed to how long you need to hold the jump. And the mechanic for the flip reset, I'm not going to do a complete tutorial for it. But the reason it's very useful is because a defender doesn't know when I'm flipping right now. Whereas with an air dribble, they can predict when you're going to hit the ball. With a reset, you can be sitting right behind the ball the entire time, and they don't know when you're gonna be able to score. And so for that reason, I learned flip resets at GC1. I would still consider them a C3 or GC1 mechanic, just because you don't have the control in Champ 1 and Champ 2 to be able to get a meaningful reset. Most of the time, you just get scored on. Now, that doesn't mean you can't learn how to do it, but, if I was speedrunning the game, I would consider learning them around C3 or GC1. You need to learn air or resets when you're air dribbling the ball and the opponent's saving it every time. You're air dribbling it consistently every time off the sidewall, and they're also saving it every time. That's when you need to have a more dynamic scoring kit, and flip resets are a great way to do that. Especially, like flip resets into air dribbles, or air dribbles into flip resets. So like getting a flip reset and now continuing it into an air dribble, or air dribbles into flip resets. So you're air dribbling the ball, dribbling here, and I'm getting a reset last second and shooting. Let's try again. Air dribbling the ball, and then getting a reset last second, and now I can shoot. This is the idea with resets. So practice in free play. It's very important to have a good grip on directional air roll in order to be able to score these convincingly in game. I still struggle, but I would learn them around GC1, maybe C3 if you're feeling extra special. And I'm going to do an honorable mention for double flip resets. I don't think they're necessary to get SSL. The reason is because like my coach Shock, for example, who was a pro player, he's still training double flip resets, and he's like 2000 MMR, which is well above SSL. Obviously, he has extremely good game sense and high hours, but you don't need to be able to flip reset to win convincingly. Like this reset and then into shot is so effective. Double resets are kind of just when we have more space and when we have more space and we really want to go for something crazy. I don't know, your reset, finding another reset. I actually really like this shot for double reset. Not the idea. But you get how a double reset could be useful. Let me show you a sidewall shot. So the most common use case for a double reset is in the case of a rapid reset, which is a speed flip reset. So it looks like that. There are other variations of the double reset if you're gonna learn any variation, I would start with the rapid reset, which is, I'll go into free play, is a speed flip reset. So if I use the Speedflip checkpoint plugin, which I'll have a video linked in the description that I've set up a custom freeze point. This is a custom freeze point after I got my first reset. So I can use this to demonstrate very easily why a double or how a rapid works. So I'm speed flipping into this ball, speed flipping left by lining my top left corner with the ball and speed flipping here. If you time it properly, it will be right when your wheels are facing up. I just got to reset. I can flip once more into the ball. And you can spam rapids as much as you want to be able to get some very impossible to defend plays. In some ways, these are also impossible to control, at least for a noob like me. So, you know, you can use them. Your results may vary. I consider this a total side quest and absolutely not necessary to get SSL. But if you're bored and you really need something to do, then, you know, download the free play checkpoint plugin, go watch my tutorial on how to set like a checkpoint like this up, and just spam doubles until you're good. Let's talk about double touches. So first I'll actually show you double tap playground. So double tap playground is by, this is by Whey Protein. This is, you won't have a speed boost when you do this. I just have custom training variants on because I'm gonna show you a pack from cohort in a second that requires this. Double taps are useful when the backboard is unguarded. It is very commonly unguarded in Champ. It is much more commonly guarded in Grand Champ. So you can learn these as soon as, I would say, Champ, if you just want to get kind of a base footing with these. Very useful for outplaying defenders when they know how to go back post, but don't know much more than that. The better you can air roll, the more effective your double taps will be, because you'll be able to get precise touches on the ball and after the redirect. And you'll also be able to create space. Like on this double tap, for example, if I can't really air roll, if all I can do is boost, what I'm going to do is I'm going to boost like this, and oh, I forgot to create space, so I can't get the double. Whereas if I'm air rolling, you'll notice I'm going to hit the ball hard, and I'm going to boost away from it, and that kind of creates that slight bit of space that's going to allow me to be able to very effectively double tap the ball. Very important with double taps is the initial placement. So if you could be the best player in the world, but if you place the initial touch here, I mean, shoot, good luck double tapping it. Or maybe a different example, you could be the best player in the world, but if your first touch is over there, let's do an example. Your first touch is over there. Another example. Your first touch is over there. Well, shoot, now I have to get all the way over here and maybe I can get around it. Whereas if you can make the first touch on the center of the backboard, this is very easy to follow up, just as hard to read for the defender. So the place that you place your first touch, very, very important with the success of your double taps. I'll let you practice this version. If you want a more advanced version, you can go to cohort's double tap advanced training packs. Really good. And we're going to use the keybind F10 to get a really strong speed boost to start it out. I think I'm on F7 right now. Let's go back to F10, getting this 7 times. And now we're going to start really quickly at the ball. So this is like a very common, like you were just passed the ball by your teammate. And once again, first placement of the double touch, very important. This is a really good example. Like if you place it right in front of you, bang, you're hitting a double tap. But if you place this ball over here, much harder to hit this angle. You know, you have to hit crazy angles. So hit the ball above the net for fun days. So I'm going to show you another pack for double taps. This is kind of like getting into the realm of sideball redirects, but I would just consider that like an advanced double tap. I'm going to show you a pack from my coach Shock, pro player, Ghost Gaming, 10,000 hours, good player. This is multi-touch training. So the idea with this pack is we're not trying to double tap to score. We're jumping because we have to beat an opponent, but then we don't want to just throw the ball away for free. We don't want to just hit it like that and give it to the opponent who's back. So we're making a touch to beat a defender, hitting it off the wall, and then following it up for one more. You'll see pros do this a lot. So beat a defender, follow up, get one more.
One more. One more. I'll score if you miss those, I think.
Maybe one more, 3 more, 4 more, 5 more.
Good shit, boys.
And this allows you to play the ball down the field and maintain possession, even in precarious situations. So here we're hitting it off the wall. We have to jump, you know, continue to get one more. That's the kind of idea. We just want to keep getting one more on these. So So hit it again. Let's get one more. And now we're following it up. And it's harder to challenge when we can get these repeat touches. Let's talk about wall stops. So I kind of just mentioned what wall stops were in passing. The idea of a wall stop is we are hitting the ball in such a way. Let me give you an example. Scenario. There's an opponent driving under the ball right now. If you just drive like this, he's going to catch it. He's going to force you into shadowing position. And then you're hoping that you don't get flicked and scored on. So let's say we have to jump for the ball. We need to stop him, but we don't want to just throw the ball to the opponent and not be able to follow it up. Well, what a low rank player would do is they would just hit this ball like this, and they'd give it back to the other team, and the other second man who's back post is going and collecting that ball. What a high ranked player can do is they can float this ball in the air, land on the wall, and continue to stick to it. They can glue to it. And this is why it's called a wall stop. You're stopping the ball by putting it in a position where you can land on a wall, and this landing on the wall is going to reset our jump. It's going to allow us to create more attacks. So I'll let that replay play out. In order to do an effective wall stop, we have to time our second jump well. We also have to have good air roll control, because if you air roll through your touch, you will reduce knockback. So the best examples of this are when the ball's moving really quickly at us. Maybe like here, for example. If we just hit the ball, let me try to get an example. If we just fly up and hit this ball, it can knock our nose back. And that slight knocking of your nose back can really mess up your recovery. Whereas if we air roll through the shot, hold joystick air roll, or we're like air roll and lefting, for example, we have like this centripetal force. Man, I don't know if that's the right term. But that can allow us, whether we're holding air roll left or air roll right, to be able to recover quicker and follow up the ball. So this is the idea with the wall stop pack. You can practice this in your games, or practice this to implement in your games. Excuse me, a lot of different situations. Sometimes it's a, jump and pop it up, and air roll and land and flip back. Sometimes it's like catch the ball midair. You want to make a floating touch, you want to make a stall touch, and then you want to go. Sometimes it's, I gotta turn off these Discord notices. This is so annoying. I get a lot of messages. I love you guys, but I get a lot of messages. So that's the idea with wall stops. This is really a GC plus mechanic because you need to have air roll down. You need to have dodge control down, ideally. To be able to clear the ball, or what are we doing here? You need to be able to read the ball. I see. So we're connecting under it, floating, and then we're kind of flipping out at the ball. You just need to combine so many mechanics for it. This one, like we're pinching and then turning around maybe. Or we're not. What are we doing here? Are we hitting the ball forward? Yeah, we're hitting the ball forward. So that's the idea with the wall stop. Very useful for high-level recoveries, generating one more. Going one more. We're going to talk about air pre-flips. A lot of different use cases. Most common is going to be with a speed flip, because when you speed flip, your nose is facing forward. So imagine the ball is here, and a defender is coming to clear it. You have no boost. We just need to get to it as fast as possible. Put a shot on that. Speed flip's going to be the most effective. If you don't know how to speed flip, you could also like front flip cancel this. Well, accidentally just got a reset. I rapid reset on the ground. A front flip cancel would look like that. It's less effective because, yes, you're going to hit the ball with the hood, but it's better to speed flip into a ball like this because you can boost through if you're going to pre-flip and lunge at it. You can also use pre-flips in the air. Here we're going for a double tap, it looks like. But we can pre-flip and try to hit the ball soft way. The way you do this is kind of by like contacting with your nose. Or not your nose, excuse me. The opposite. Nose if you want to hit the ball hard. Hood if you want to hit the ball soft. Kind of like that. And now we're glued to it. And reset and create maybe. A lot of different ideas for ground and air pre-flips. Ground pre-flips you can use as soon as you learn the speed flip. So I mean diamond, champ. Air pre-flips like to use on these double touches. Or for like awkward air dribble setups. So let me show you an example of this. I'm going to go into a pack called Dodge Control, which will be another mechanic we'll cover in a second. Another situation where you can use like a speed flip pre-flip is like here. Pre-flip through the ball, double it. Pre-flip through the ball, double it. Or here, like maybe we do a soft pre-flip. There we go. Hit it with the hood, reset, maybe fake. I don't know. A lot of different ways to create there. Show it again. Kind of flip through with the hood. Get a soft touch. Now we're creating different ideas. So for ground pre-flips or air pre-flips, I would consider that like these air pre-flips are really GC+, but the ground pre-flips you can learn as soon as diamond even. So that's the idea with the air pre-flips. The next level of these aerial mechanics is the neutral jump. So the neutral jump is like this. It's using an empty jump or neutral jump, same thing, to counteract the speed of the ball. Different use case than a pre-flip. A pre-flip's a little bit faster, also a little bit like a mid-air speed flip, I mean. A little bit faster, also a little bit more wild. You know, based on where you flip exactly, you could like connect under it, or you could flip like into it, like hit it with the hood, or if you hit it with the nose, it could go very hard. So if you know you want to make a soft touch, oh my gosh. I'm getting down. If you know you want to make a soft touch, you can use this empty jump. So I'm just letting go of my joystick input, and I would say this is an aerial input that is used on awkward setups, really GC plus, in order to like power through some of these really awkward ones, like the ones where you want to hit it hard. Like this one, we're going back at the net. We'd really want to use a speed flip here. An empty jump is not enough to get us back on. But if the ball's already here, and this is probably more empty jump territory, because we don't really want to add that much speed to this in order to be able to follow it up. So, you know, you'll learn the use cases, as I frankly still am. This one you could use a speed flip, or you could use an empty jump. I'd probably opt speed flip because the ball's so slow on setup. But let's find another one where it's fast. Like here, it's fast, so we want to use a speed flip here. So we just use an empty jump here. The ball's going too fast. It's gonna bounce off, and we're not gonna be able to get back after it. Whereas I like a speed flip a lot more, because even if we hit it with the nose, the ball's moving at us so quickly that we can probably follow it up better with a speed flip. Let's see if I can get an example here. Got to really get up on this ball. And then we're chasing. I don't know. That's the idea. A lot of different ways you can create on these wall setups. So this is empty jumps and speed flip pre-flips, which together are a mechanic called like dodge control. And this is like GC plus. So I kind of just did a mashup of a bunch of different ones because I felt like the explanation needed to go together. But that's the idea with all of these. This one we can probably use an empty jump. Yeah. So now everybody's favorite, redirects. Redirects are changing the ball's direction mid-air, but they require you to be positioned upfield, which I really don't recommend until you're a Grand Champ. So mechanically, you could do a redirect in Diamond. It'll just probably be really slow. But positionally, I don't recommend you sitting under the opponent's net waiting for a redirect if you are, you know, below Grand Champ. Yes, they are cool to be able to like somehow get the right touch on this to put it in net. As you can see, I don't do this because this is so situational. I got GC3 without it, but I don't know. Maybe people in the comment sections will be like, ha, but you'd be SSL if you had redirects, loser. Thanks, guys. That's what I imagine my comment section is like. I don't know why that's the way I read the comment section. But some of these are more game scenarios. So like this is more like a upfield pass. Like this is very common to go for. So, you know, these redirects, you know, more useful as opposed to like the first two redirects you saw in this pack. You know, these redirects where we're kind of just, these are more like air roll shots, like, useful. These ones a little less useful, but, you know, slightly useful. These ones are like kind of crazy. Like, maybe you'd do that in a game. I don't know. You know, maybe you'd be positioned here and you'd like score this in a game. I mean, that's pretty unsavable, but it's just the use case is so minimal. So really GC plus, in my opinion. Final mechanic, air roll or air roll left is one of those mechanics like speed flips. It's not as quick to unlock, so I wouldn't suggest you learn it immediately. Being able to pivot your car without using the joystick or air roll your car without using the joystick, game changing. Because, well, one, it's more precise because you don't need to rely on where you're pushing on the joystick, you know, exactly to be able to do this. But also, you can now move your joystick while you do it. And so you're going to unlock mechanics like tornado spins, which is lifting your nose up. Cook's-ear twist, just pulling your nose down. You know, tornado spin is pushing your joystick opposite the direction of your air roll. So air roll left, pushing right, or air roll right, pushing left. And cook's-ear twist is the opposite. So it's joystick with your air roll. So left joystick, air roll left, right joystick, air roll right. Very useful. Tornado spins lift your nose quickest, probably most commonly used, because you will see high ranked players like go like a ground to air dribble like this very often. I find it more consistent personally than going for a ground to air dribble like this, although as you can see, both like absolutely work. I really like the tornado spin variation because it positions you very quickly for a reset. It's also deceiving. It's hard for a defender to know where you're going. And for me, it's more consistent than my other setup. So all those things make tornado spins really useful. Tornado spins are also beneficial because you can use them to slow down speed in the air. They're the most effective way to slow down speed while spinning. Let's go to Waiton's aerials level 3, high aerials. Imagine you have to jump for this ball, but you don't want to get a hard touch. So like you jump for this ball, without air roll, you're boosting into it like this. You're hitting this ball very hard, you're probably giving up possession. Imagine you want to jump to this ball, you can tornado spin to spin your car back. Tornado spin looks like that, my nose is facing back. And if I do this in the duration of a spin, I can create this really soft touch and be able to follow the ball up. If I have more boost, you can see what that would look like. But I can create this really soft touch on the ball using this tornado spin adjustment to slow down in the air. Very useful for creating multi-touches off of air setups. And you probably saw me doing that earlier, but that's the explanation for how you would go about training it. So tornado spin setups are very useful for slowing down speed and controlling speed, and they're probably the most important adjustment. But learning all of the adjustments or learning 360 control of your air roll is useful. All has benefits, but I would say it's decreasing marginal returns. The idea is you'll get 50% of your air roll gains from mastering tornado spins. You'll get 25 from mastering the other right side of your joystick. So like these, if you look at my joystick, this side, and then you'll get the last 10 to 25% from mastering the left side. So it's like really decreasing in that way. Just an observation I've had. Now, tornado spins, I would learn in directional air roll. I would begin your training as soon as champ. Diamond is really pushing it, but you could do it as soon as diamond. And the reason is because it will take you a long time. It will take, I think for, one of our pro coaches in the GCB, I mean, when I did it, it took me many months, maybe 3 to 6 months. One of our pro coaches in the GCB said in between one of his seasons, this was Freaky, I believe, was a European German pro. He said he took the summer, in between the off season, like the end of summer, in between the off seasons, he did 3 months where he was just learning directional air roll. So it can take a really long time. You have the best tools that you're gonna have for this are like your workshop maps, but these are PC specific. So that's directional air roll. Do you need both air rolls? I recommend you bind both for like very simple ground recoveries, but do you need air roll left and air roll right mastered? Absolutely not. Sometimes you'll be a little bit slower if all you can do is air roll left. So if all you can do is air roll left, technically you can reach, this reset position, air roll lefting, a little bit slower on the left wall than you could on the right wall. You can just go straight here. But when it comes to, is this a make or break factor? No, it's like a 2% gain. So like if you, at least this is the recommendation Shock gives, if you're, SSL plus 10,000 hours, looking to go pro, consider picking up a second air roll. If you are Champ 2 and you don't even have control of one air roll, consider mastering the first air roll because you don't need both. And so that's, I would wholeheartedly agree with that assessment. I, for the longest time, thought I needed both, but when you watch a high-ranked player actually go at it, you realize that most of the time they're using one air roll, and they're just more comfortable with air roll left or air roll right. There are pro exceptions. The super mechanical pros, don't get me wrong, absolutely have both. But when it comes to what do you need to get, the rank you want to get, unlikely you should learn both, because we're talking about, going off the system I just told you, it takes you 3 to 6 months to learn your first and 3 to 6 months to learn the second. Good luck. You're learning air roll for the next 12 months. I don't think a lot of players would choose to do it for the extra 2 to 5% gains, let's call it, that you get from knowing both. Just my opinion. The aerial crown mechanic is air dribbles. Air dribbles, air dribble bumps, advanced air dribbles can be used anywhere on the field. They help you score, they help you get off of defense, and will get you the furthest of all aerial mechanics. Let's move on to dribbling. We'll begin with everybody's favorite, the ball carry. This is balancing the ball on your car to set up for flicks. or to set up for fakes. For those of you who are new to dribbling in free play, you can use the up command to spawn the ball on top of your car. You can use the down command to spawn the ball in front of your car. You can use the right command to bounce the ball up, and you can use the left command to shoot the ball at you. All of these can be useful in setting up dribbles. To start out, let's just put the ball on our car. And dribbling is the art of matching the ball's position on your car, matching the ball's speed to keep it balanced. In a good dribble, you see very little sparks. That little bouncing or interaction between the ball, they're ideally little sparks. In a bad air dribble, you see a lot of sparks like this. Generally speaking, harder to get a flick when the ball's sparking, easier to get a flick when the ball's smooth. Of course, that's not a catch-all, but for beginners, that will get you started a good amount of the way. I have a complete dribbling tutorial about assisted dribbling, using the sidewall, then, free dribbling here, even using dribbling maps like Dribble to Overhaul. So I'll let you guys explore that as you will. But a very useful tip for beginners if you're struggling with this is to go into training and to reduce the game speed. Reducing the game speed helps a lot because if the ball starts to fall to the right, you have more time to turn to the right before you have to adjust. If the ball starts to fall to the left, you have more time to turn to the left, and so on and so forth. As you get higher in the ranks, you can practice with drift. You can practice delayed flicks. We'll get there in a second. We're going to talk about wave dashes in a second. We'll talk about a lot of things. Like I said, in no particular order, this is dribbling, and this is level 1, the ball carry. Useful to get started with this in platinum. We're going to say platinum. Next up in dribbling, we have the catch. It's the process of cradling the ball from air to on top of your car. It's this transition we get when we're taking an uncontrolled ball that's just bouncing, let's say, or maybe a little more difficult, flying at us, into getting it on top of our car. Training packs are useful to start with this, so I'll go into training. A beginner training pack that's really good for this, and that's just good for bouncing the ball on your car, is Dribble Training by Verge. This is the one that I used, and you're not going to want to use KevPert settings, so let me disable custom training variants. This is a very good pack for catches at the higher levels, and if the shot order wasn't randomized, you'd see level 1. I think this is in reverse order right now. Level 1 is a little bit easier. It's just starting here. This pack is very useful for keeping the ball up, because if you drop it, timer's going to expire. So a good way to challenge. Normally this pack would be reverse order, but I have custom training variants on, so it's randomized order right now. But for you, you're going to start with this shot, then move on to a shot like this, where we're turning the ball at the net. Then move on to a shot like this, where we're turning the ball in the net from the other side. But I had, variants messed up. Get in. And then you're going to move on to the more advanced ones, like these catches backwards on the back of your car, and these catches out on the front of your car. Now, specifically for catches, a useful thing to remember is the top of our car, very bouncy. However, the sides of your cars are like glue. So if you can catch it on the side, you're going to have a much smoother transition with less sparks than if you try to catch the ball on top of your car. Catch it on top of your car, it will doink out. So you can aim to catch it on the side. If you have Powerslide, you can even catch it on like the front or something. You can catch it on the back, but when you catch it on the edge of your car, much smoother than when you catch the ball on top of your car. So a little tip for catches. This Dribble Training by Verge, excellent pack for beginner catches. I would say this is platinum and even into diamond. And champ for some, I see some champ players that can't do it. For advanced players, we're going to want to work on our drift catches. Shout out King Ranny for this. These catches you're meant to do while turning. So imagine you're in a ones game and the opponent is going boost over ball right now. The objective with this pack is to come around the ball, surprise them. I won't get the perfect execution here. And using drift, we can turn the ball on net and get a quick attack that they might not expect if they're just grabbing side boost. And that's an Athena flick. That mechanic is not on the list. But that's the idea with drift catch training. Now, I do get a lot of questions when I got a question in my coaching event last Monday in my paid Discord community. Wow, how long did we make it? We made it 25 minutes on raw version of this recording. without Spook Luke mentioning his paid community. Unfortunately, I had to mention it. Sorry. When I explain this to people, they have a lot of questions about how long I hold drift timing. And this is kind of like air roll, where you learn as you go. But a couple pointers I can give you for drift catches. When you're turning, and this is, it's hard to say. When you're turning less than 90 degrees, you can hold pretty safely. So this is an example where I am turning 180 degrees here. So if I wanted to drift catch this ball, it's going to be very hard to do in one motion. I can do it if I'm good at car control. But on the side here is a more common example where I would hold like my drift and catch it sideways. That's kind of less than 90 degrees for a smooth drift catch. I'll let that one play back. Oh, well, I got to score it first. I'll let this one play back and show you what I mean. For a turn that's between 90 and 180 degrees, or a complete turnaround or more, 180 degrees or more, that's where you're going to want to start to get in the range of tapping your power slide. So put differently, when I'm making these long drift turns, I'm more in the business of tapping my drift. And Redditors, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe drift is like multiplicative. I've been out of college for a little while. It's, what do they call where it, how do you say where it like ramps? I believe it ramps over time. That's kind of the idea that I'm getting. And what that looks like in practice is if you hold down on a really long turn, sometimes we get this like unfortunate like spinning out where our car keeps drifting after we sort of let go of the button. It almost feels like the drift button is kind of like accelerating. It's like drifting faster and faster over time. And so that's where kind of tapping can help you with, you know, let's say getting a more precise turn and not overshooting on your drift catch. So like I said, when the turn is more than 90 degrees or closer to a kind of a 160, that's when or 180, excuse me, that's when I'm more in the business of tapping my drift to make sure I don't spin out. But when it's less than those amounts, when it's sort of like only a 90 degree turn, I am very comfortable just holding the drift for whatever that half second is. Your results may vary. Hopefully that helps you with catches and drift catches. Drift catches are more advanced. I would start to learn these in mid to high champ, GC. But basic catches can be practiced as early as platinum or diamond. So have fun with that. Mechanic number 9, we have the bounce dribble. Bounce dribble, extremely effective for scoring and just knowing how to move the ball up the field in 1v1. So a basic bounce dribble is hitting the ball after it bounces. That's all a bounce dribble is. You're hitting the ball after it bounces, so that way we're striking it on the up bounce. Not when it's bouncing like this, because that kind of kills the dribble. We're bouncing it, or we're contacting the ball as it goes up. You can practice this in free play with my hot potato drill. I call it hot potato because the point is you don't want to let it bounce more than twice. And you can do this simply with no boost, no power slide, just throw it in a circle. This is kind of level 1 of bounce dribbling. Very important to do this because in 1v1, let's say you get the ball in the corner and nobody's pressuring you. Can you just put the ball on top of your car and flick it? Sure. But if I'm getting space, I think shots work a lot better when given space than do dribbles and flicks. Now, both can work, but if a defender is back corner right now not challenging me, I love doing this, and then it's almost impossible for them to challenge. Now, if they're pressuring me the whole way, bounce dribbles are a little less effective because there are these kind of moments in between the bounces where you are subject to challenge. So for that reason, I like to bounce dribble more when I have space, but you'll get a lot of space at the low ranks, contrary to what my YouTube commenters say. And so you will benefit a lot from being able to time the ball properly on the up bounce and shoot to finish. As you get more advanced, we can do our bounce dribbles, but instead we're gonna do it with power side cuts. So we can aim to go 180 degrees every time we contact the ball. That can look something like this. We can incorporate wave dashes. We can incorporate power slide cuts. You can even try to incorporate like 180 degree turns, so you can hit the ball up, and I'm not doing this drill justice right now, but let's try again. The ball up, hit the ball up. Let's do power slide, 90 degrees. It's harder than it looks. Go in free play. Try this for yourself. That's it again. But that's the idea. Bounce dribble drill is very, very effective because getting this timing is very useful for dribbling, for ground to air dribbles. You can use this just in so many cases, and it's also a good tool to help you practice your power slide cuts. You know, you're coming at it from the side. We need to power slide a little bit into it before we take off. Bounce dribbles are a little bit harder, in my opinion, than carries because they're often faster paced, and the window to mess up is, well, large because you have to be very precise with your touch otherwise. But Diamond 1, you can start to practice these. Bounce dribbles, give them a shot. Gonna help you a lot in your ranked games. Mechanic number 10, basic flicks. I'm talking about front flip flicks. I'm talking about side flip flicks. Nice one. I'm talking about diagonal flicks. And I guess you could include back flip flicks in specific scenarios. These are useful for misdirection, right? Changing the ball speed rapidly, beating a defender. The tip with the basic flicks is where the ball starts is where the flick is going to go. So if you want to do a front flip flick, we're going to put the ball in front of our car to get the most effective flick. If we try to do a front flip flick, but the ball's on the back of our car, well, it's not going to flick. Same thing with side flip. So if you want to flick left, you need to put the ball a little bit left. And if you want to flick right, you need to put the ball a little bit right. Side flip flicks are a repetition thing. You need to make sure you have a controlled dribble before you go for them. And they can very easily be practiced in free play, just using the respawn and the up command, or you can use the training pack if you want a challenge for where you need to score it. That's the idea of the side flip flick and the front flip and the back flip. Me personally, I've used these basic flicks to get to pretty much GC2, GC3. The speed flip flick, honorable mention, which is a fancy version of the diagonal flip that we'll cover in a second, is probably my go-to flick because I can hit the ball forward and still recover with a lot of control. And it's so useful because you get a little bit of height change and a little bit of direction change. Unlike a front flip flick, which is effective and a little easier in plat. Almost a fail flick. But this front flip flick, it only hits the ball forward. Yes, you get a little bit of height change, but you're not getting any lateral movement. So there are more ways to get dunked. Whereas if you can dribble on an angle and speed flip flick, we're getting a height change. Oh, monster flick, and a direction change. Very useful when it comes to scoring. Practice the basic flicks as soon as Diamond 1. Yeah, I'd say Diamond 1. You can practice the basic flicks. Let's move on to the 45-degree flick, the 90-degree flick, and the 180-degree Magnus flick. Let's start with the 45 flick. The use cases of these are when you have a little bit more space and you want to generate additional power. Now, my flicks aren't the best. I don't use these flicks very often, candidly. They're one thing that I probably need to learn more in order to get to SSL. But I don't really think you need to be using these advanced flicks until you are GC+. And you can quote me on that. The reason is because, at least right now, when we're talking about stuff that I use in ranked, I really like things that don't need a lot of space to perform, are quick, I can use in any situation, and are difficult to stop and easy to execute. The 45, 90, and 180-degree flick are all a little bit harder to execute, less common than you can use in like a speed flip flick, and you need more space in game. So for those reasons, unless you're in 1v1, these aren't necessary, or they're not essential until you get to the higher ranks. Champ GC. When it comes to practicing these, I'm not the best. I'll put King Randy's tutorial because King Randy is really good at these, and he can help you a lot. I'll probably be learning these more on my climb to SSL, but candidly, I don't know them very well. So 45 degree, 190, and 180 are just as they sound. You can practice them if you want. I would say they're most useful for 1v1 mains, and they can be useful as you get to Champ and GC for higher ranked players. The last mechanic in the dribbling section, we'll go over the Musty Flick. I was debating whether or not to make this an honorable mention because I really don't think you need it to get to SSL. Musty Flick is when we are positioning our car backwards to scoop the ball, and it's a backflip flick. So what this is useful for is it generates a lot of power and a lot of lift compared to the other flicks, because you're sort of getting like 2 hits on a ball. It can be used on the ground. It can be used after a reset as like a way to delay flick people. You need a little bit of space to use it, and it is useful, so you can learn it to get SSL, but you don't need to learn it to get SSL. So I would say this is definitely a GC plus mechanic. The amount of people that learn it before then is crazy. I'm kind of choking the strength of the flick that I want to get. I'll cheat a little bit and use the free play checkpoint plugin, which I'll explain a little bit more in the... I'll explain this one a little bit more in the reset section. But the key with a good Musty Flick is you need to be almost completely turned around. We want to be back to this point right before our nose starts to sort of pass that half line. And for the most effective scoop, we want to get 2 touches on the ball. So it sort of looks like that. If you flip too early, you'll just get this 1 touch, right? Like I'm flipping too early here. This is what I was doing before. But if you wait and let your car get kind of back and you're also moving at the same speed as the ball, you can generate multiple touches. And that's the idea with the Musty Flick. You need space to do it. It's situational. It's almost an honorable mention, but I'll say this is like a GC2, GC3 mechanic, just because if you do have space, it can be good for misdirection. It's also a nice like bailout. Like if you have like 12 boost and you want to do something a little more effective than just like bang out, you can do, like I find myself doing this sometimes, like I'll hit the ball up and then just musty it just because it gets a little more height. Apart from that, I haven't really found ways to incorporate it too heavily into my game, but maybe I'll change my mind as I get better. So that's the idea with the Musty Flick. On to honorable mentions for the dribbling section. There are things like the Breezy Flick, which is like Musty with tornado spin. You're tornado spinning for half of the flick and then letting go. And this kind of just gets us in position to do a musty, but it's quite deceiving from a defender's point of view. Once again, honorable mention because you don't need it to get SSL. It's kind of fun. It's definitely a side quest, but if you want to learn it, be my guest. There's also flicks like the Classy Flick, which is named after a YouTuber. It's where you position your nose like back like this, and then we're back flipping into the ball. No more important than a Breezy Flick. I would say probably less, but it exists. So that's a classy flick if you want to learn it. And all the other flicks, just, the Evo Flick, where you sort of like let the ball fall off your car and then, you hit it on the way back up. Let's see if I can do it first try. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do the Evo Flick. And all these other like advanced flicks. The problem with most of the advanced flicks is they require so much space that at least when I'm playing the game, I'm holding the ball here and I'm oh, nice one, Luke. I'm holding the ball here and I'm speed flipping 90% of the time to score. Or if I'm in the air, and I have the option to go between a Musty Flick or just air dribbling the ball to the goal line and then getting a touch last second, I'm almost always doing the second option, the simpler option, and the more kind of dynamic option. This is just so effective in scoring. And so for those reasons, any of the advanced flicks, any of the flicks I haven't mentioned, I consider SSL plus or side quests or just not necessary to rank up. They're not essential. Now, if you want to, you absolutely can. That's the reason that Breezies, Evos, Classies, I wonder if I'm missing any others. Any other flick, kind of just honorable mentions. The mechanic that gets the crown for dribbling, I'm going to have to go with flicks. If you get good at flicks, you are guaranteed to get to champ. At least in the current meta, you will fly through the ranks. Mechanic number 1. Power shots. This is using the front of your car and good flip timing to generate maximum power. Now, there are levels to a good power shot. We're going to jump into Kevpert's one's striking pack. And first, we're just going to talk about how you strike the ball. So when we strike the ball, and by the way, I'm using some custom training some custom Bacchus plugins to accelerate my start. But that's neither here nor there. Now, couple things when we're striking the ball. Level 1 of this is can you just hit the ball and not miss it, right? Hit it at the center of the net. But quickly, as you climb through the ranks, you're going to want to be able to time your flip into the ball. Now, this is a, grade A shot, I would say. Being able to hit the ball with the front of your car, grade A. That's going to give you 90 to 95% of the power. However, as you get to the very highest ranks through GC and even up to SSL, You can generate about 5 to 10% more power, and you'll see the pros do this, by air rolling away from the ball and contacting it with the corner of your car. So yes, this is confirmed true. The corners generate, I think the figure is between 5 and 10% more power. Redditors, correct me in the comment section, as I know you will. Thank you very much. So level 0 is just, can we hit this ball? Level 1 is, can we hit it with the front of our car and time the flip? And level 2 or level 3 is, can we air roll and place it? Now, to add stakes to this, for those of you who are on PC, a little bonus you can do, go into Bacchus mod, hit F2 on screen. Now we're going to navigate to the custom training tab, and we're going to enable the goal blocker plugin. This is very, very useful. Something I've been doing lately is I'll draw out a rectangle to cover the top half of the net. And now what this is going to do is, if we tab out and we re-enter the exact same training pack, you'll see the top half of the net is scoreable. So if I just whack this ball in the bottom of the net where a keeper would likely save it, this will now save the ball, and this can make training more game realistic. And at least if you're diamond or champ or higher ranked watching, it'll hopefully make training a little bit more engaging for you, so you don't fall asleep or be so bored you never do it in the first place. So that's sort of like the level 1 shot. The level 2 shot is where you really want to get around to the corner of the ball and then be able to place this where you want. You can draw those rectangles however you want. For the rest of this video, I'm just going to keep it on top bins. So that's mechanic number 1, power shot. Recommended rank for this, you should really begin training this in gold, and you train this all the way through SSL. Mechanic number 2, let's talk about delayed flip shots. This is holding your flip before using it to change the timing and the trajectory. Now, you can also use, a delayed flip shot as sort of a fail-safe. So if you jump wrong and, we're gonna miss the ball, we're too far to the right, we can flip to the left to get into it. Or, we're too far to the right, you can flip left to still make contact. Now, this is particularly important when you're on offense and you're getting a rebound like this one off the back wall, or even better, or off the corner, or even better. Can we get a backboard rebound for this? Yes. So like here, let's say you jumped, way too far to the left, and now we can dodge to at least make contact with the ball. Very, very useful. I'm gonna share with you some tech, or put you onto some game for how jump timers work. So not a lot of people know this, but you save your jump for precisely, I've seen so much nonsense on the internet, precisely 1.25 seconds. So it's, you don't get your jump for 2 seconds, you don't get your second dodge for 3 seconds, you get it for precisely 1.25 seconds. Now here's the catch. The jump timer starts, that 1.25 seconds starts when your first jump finishes. Okay, stay with me. Here's where it gets interesting. If you just tap to jump, you're gonna get less height than if we hold to jump. And so if you hold to jump, the max time you can do this for is 0.2 seconds. If you hold this button, your jump 1.25 second timer, that second dodge, sort of timer, won't start until your first jump finishes. So in other words, if you just tap jump, you'll have your second jump for a total of 1.25 seconds. If you hold jump, you'll have your second jump for a total of 1.45 seconds. The idea is, if there's a very high air roll shot, you would be surprised at how high up we can get and still have our flip. This ball, you can still have a flip. Let's see some other examples. This ball, you can still have a flip. Key for this is you can get about goal height if you do this properly, holding your second jump. In fact, if you watch pro gameplay, you'll see some of the best players can get even above goal height. But for most average players with the timing, it's pretty safe to say any ball that is goal height, you can get while saving the flip. Recommended rank for the delayed flip shots, let's start working on this in plat, okay? First, you just want to make sure you can hit the ball consistently, and you're going to continue to practice this all throughout the ranks. Those are our first 2 mechanics. All right, moving on to mechanic number 3, air roll shots. I got a pack for you guys here called Air Roll Shots. Oh, that's crazy. By Yiza. Reminder, all the links are in the description. Air roll shots are useful because when the angle is off, you will be slower if you don't use air roll. Now, can we score this without air roll? Yes, but our boost isn't always going to be facing the right direction. We get a little bit less control. Air roll shots are useful at the high ranks. You're going to get the most power this way. Now, low rank players don't understand the correct way to air roll. If you want to shoot left, you don't air roll left. Counterintuitive. If you want to shoot left, you air roll right. And the reason is because if you see me air roll right here, this exposes the top left corner of my car in the quickest way possible. It's like the fastest route from A to B. On the left side, we air roll left and then dodge right. And that's going to be the most, effective bread and butter aerial shot. Start learning this as soon as Diamond if you want. Next up, we're going to move on to wall shots. Now, I'm going to talk about wall aerials later, but for wall shots, this is just getting up the wall and making contact with the ball. Beginner level of this, 101, is remember on the wall, forward is still forward and backwards is still backwards. A lot of lower ranked players panic on the wall and they'll like backflip off it. And backflipping is one of the worst things you can do on the wall because it will kill your momentum, and not only that, but it'll float you midair. If you didn't know, backflipping, or any flip for that matter, suspends height. So if I just jump off the wall here and I flip, my height is suspended while I flip. It's an interesting Rocket League mechanic that is useful when we get to some of the more advanced stuff like ceiling shots. Very good for ceiling doubles, ground doubles, like if you hit the ball off the wall or you want to sort of like float into a double tap. I'll show you later. But the idea here with basic wall shots is remember to be flipping forward. We still want to time our jump like normal, and all the normal rules apply. Now, if the ball is a little bit off the wall, this is where you'll need to start using air roll. If we're on the right wall, we will air roll right to sort of get back to this grounded position and be able to flip after a ball. If we're on the left wall, we're going to use air roll left to get back to the grounded position and flip after a ball. Or when I say the grounded position, I sort of just mean like this kind of like normal resting state. And this is going to be a reference point for you until you get to diamond or champ ranks. Whenever possible, I recommend you try to get back to this position, because if you don't, especially when we get to more complicated mechanics like air dribbles, if you try to fly at this upside down and you're a beginner, your brain is going to, well, the technical term for this is blackout. And so if you can get back to the neutral position, it's going to help you when you are starting out, be able to do, your first air dribble and your first wall touch and this and that. Wall shots, start to learn these in platinum or diamond. Moving on to backboard rebounds. This is a more advanced type of shooting. So we're going to go into Kev Pert's striking level 2 pack or number 2 pack. And rebounds are when the ball is bouncing off the backboard here. And the tricky part with them is based on where the ball is bouncing. Sometimes we'll need to connect under the ball to flatten it out. Sometimes we'll need to connect above the ball to sort of flatten out the shot. And this is just going to take time. Oh, I meant to do that. And the hardest part about the backboard rebound is getting the read off the backboard, as it sounds. So focus most of your time on predicting the ball's trajectory. And you'll see as we go through this list, we're going to start combining some of the mechanics. So here to get this backboard rebound, I have to arrow left and then shoot right. I'll let this play out. And ideally, you're connecting with the corner of the card, and you're even getting more power than I did there. And there's always room to improve on these backboard rebounds. I would say consistency doesn't really come through on these until you're SSL. I mean, I'm not SSL, and I can tell you I'm not consistent with these. So practice these starting in Diamond, practice them all the way up to SSL. Now, one final note for backboard rebounds, make it game realistic. So it's very easy in these training packs to, let's find an example on a shot where we have a little bit more time. Let's go back to 2. Very easy in a training pack to just jump up and hit this softly. And I have a little bit of a speed boost from my spawn, but as you can see, it's very easy to do this. And if you don't have the goal blocker plugin I have, you might score a shot like this and be like, I did it. And for some of you, that's good, right? If this is an amazing shot for you, fantastic. You're at a great point in your Rocket League career. The depression hasn't set in yet. And as you progress, the most important thing is that you keep your training challenging, because if your training becomes easy, or you start to do stuff like this, yay, I scored it, you're not going to be consistent in game, or you're not going to be as effective. So we want to make our striking as game realistic. That means we're jumping, and boosting through the shot the entire way. We're trying to score it as fast as possible. We're trying to slot it in a specific part of the net. So, today I'm training putting it in the top half of the net. And all these things, if you do together, will make your training more effective per unit time. And I think this is where, some people have like 13,000 hours in the game and they're at the same rank as me. They're Grand Champ 2 or Grand Champ 3. Well, if you can just do some of these things a little bit more intentionally, you can be at Grand Champ 2 or Grand Champ 3 in 3,000 hours or 4,000 hours. Or if maybe you're younger than me and a little bit more cracked, maybe you can be here in 2,000 hours. Or maybe, whatever. You get the idea. So when you're doing any of this shooting training, remember, boost through the shot, try to place it somewhere, challenge yourself. And of course, use common sense, use your brain. Okay, shooting mechanic number 6, pinches. We can practice these in free play. What is a pinch? Well, a pinch is sort of jamming the ball between your car and a surface. Most common pinch scenario is gonna be wall. So that way it shoots out really fast, potentially goes on target for a clear or a shot, or catches the defender off guard, or whatever it may be. Nice pinch, Luke. And that's the idea with the pinch. Now, is a pinch very complicated? No, but you just kind of have to feel out the timing of where you need to hit the ball exactly. All the previous tips for holding your dodge apply, and air roll is especially useful on pinches. Another really good use case for this at the high ranks is when a ball is floating up high on the wall. If somebody's about to start an air dribble, you can jump up like this and sort of pre-jump challenge them. This can be very effective because you don't want to let a high ranked attacker have space. So if they're about to set up an air dribble here and you're behind them, you can pre them, and oftentimes they won't see you. Boom, hit it past them, and we're going and we're potentially scoring. So all very useful tech. You may hear some people refer to pitches as cooksear pinches. A cooksear pinch is from the back half of your field, popularized by the player Cooksear. It looks something like that. I think in the traditional Cooksear pinch, he hit it on Batmobile, looking like that. And so that's kind of what a Cooksear pinch can look like. That's where you save your jump, and we're trying to score here, hit the ball really, really hard. And you also may have heard of an astral pinch. Very good EU player. An astral pinch is a corner pinch into the net. So let's say we're trying to score on orange. It's kind of crazy, but you can pinch the ball kind of like that, and sometimes it goes in the net. And that's an astral pinch. Can we make this a montage, Camille? Pretend like I got it first try. Ready? Make the ground shake. Boom. Oh, like, just pretend that went in. Anyways, recommended rank for pinches is probably Diamond or Champ. You really don't need these in the lower ranks, but if you're Diamond or Champ and you know how to air roll, you can practice them. Most effective use case is going to be like these back wall ones and these pre-jump ones that I mentioned before. You're going to see a lot of success if you can, pre-jump people on the wall who aren't looking at you, get a beat, and go for a quick shot. Very useful. And the mechanic that wins for shooting is air roll shots. The value is so high. Let's move on to defense. Mechanic number 13 is backward saves, or shadow defense. Shadow defense is another term for saving the ball backwards. It's Rocket League code, so I'll just refer to this as backward saves. Like it sounds, you're driving with the opponent to save the ball while facing your net. We're going to use the pack called uncomfortable saves. The reason they're effective is because you're saving the ball with time. So if I'm driving with the opponent and they flick me, look how many seconds I have to jump, read, and hit this ball. I have like 7 seconds before I have to make a play on this ball. That's not 7, that's like 3. I have like 3 seconds before I have to make a play on this ball. Whereas if I was attacking the opposite way from my goal line, if I get flicked or I miss my timing, much easier to get scored on. So the idea with the backward save is we're just focusing on the nose of our car. It's going to be very uncomfortable the first couple times you do it, and eventually it kind of just becomes muscle memory. This isn't hard as you get reps, but to start out, you'll be very, very confused. So a tip to help you when you're starting out is let's get back to a position that we recognize. In this case, if we're facing dead on backwards, we're gonna jump, we're gonna pull our nose up, and we're gonna air roll. So now our car is facing forward. And now this is a common position we see when we're going for an aerial forwards. And so now, once again, left is left and right is right. If we make the save like this, left is right and right is left. And, a high rank player would just do this because it's the least moves. Or a high rank player may use air roll to reduce knockback and then land on the backboard. But for you, if you can turn your car around and just make this touch, it'll make things a little easier to understand. So that's kind of level 1. The way you want to graduate with backward saves is level 1, you want to just be able to make the save, right? This isn't great. You're probably getting scored on if you save the ball like that. But level 2, we can start to make the save to a specific direction. Level 3 is we can kind of start making save to a direction with power by saving our flick. And believe it or not, we can get up to this ball while still maintaining a flip by using the hold method that I was covering earlier. We can still get a lot of power. So that's kind of level 3 of saving these if you do it properly. And then level 4, and sort of in line with level 3, is saving the ball and making multiple touches. So what that can look like is, maybe you drive with this ball, you jump up, you make a save touch, and then we're recovering down and we're following it. Or even better, you can make like a really soft float touch, and a defender can never really challenge you there if you can take the ball out properly. And so you'll notice a common theme as we progress through this list and as we progress through the higher mechanics is generating multiple touches, because the more unexpected touches you can make that catch the opponents off guard, the easier it will be to rank up. The longer you can maintain possession, especially in awkward situations, especially in situations the opponents won't expect, you can catch them out, you can get them to challenge, you can get beats, and that will allow you to rank up pretty easily. I remember when I was playing with a friend, and he took a long break from the game, and then he came back after a while. At the time, I had ranked up to GC or something, and he was champ still. The thing that he would always say about my gameplay is, he would say something to the effect of, you can always get one more touch. I know you'll always have one more touch than I think you will. And that's good, because when I'm playing with him, he knows that I'm going to make one more touch on the ball than he thinks I will. But from a defender's POV, you can see why that's confusing. Because if you don't expect an opponent to be able to hit it, they save the ball up, you jump to challenge because you think it's free, and then they're following up this ball and they're clearing it and they're scoring it on you. So that's the idea with backward saves. As you get kind of more advanced, we can also like save our jump to power through the save. And this kind of reduces knockback and allows us to follow the ball closely. You can slow down and watch my controller overlay if you want on any of those explanations, but that is backward saves. Recommended rank to just start like learning level 1 is like platinum. Like just being able to do this is, you should learn how to do that as soon as platinum. But then we're, progressing through diamond, champ, and GC with those levels I gave you a second ago. Being able to air roll, control, save it. Being able to just jump up, save flip, and save it. And or just being able to just save it to the corner, because that's going to be hard for some of you. That's the idea with this pack. Next up is Backboard Clears. Backboard Clears is similar to wall play, but we need to learn how to jump out early off the wall, as well as read the ball off the backboard, which is a little bit more difficult than the sidewall. So pack for this that you're going to use is aerial off wall, or at least this is the pack that I used to train backward saves. And we just have to get comfortable saving the ball in a little bit of a different direction. So when you start out with this, with backboard clears, it's going to be very difficult for you to get the right takeoff angle. You'll do a lot of takeoffs that look like that, where you'll just really undershoot the ball, or you'll do takeoffs like that, where you really overshoot the ball. And you're just going to have to get comfortable turning left and right and up and down on the wall, regardless of what side you're on. After that, we learn how to do air roll to adjust into the ball. And then after that, we learn how to make multiple touches. So instead of booming the ball away, maybe it's intentionally booming to sidewall. I'll give you an example. Maybe it's intentionally booming to sidewall, so we can get another touch on a defender here. This is a great example. Intentionally booming to sidewall, and then we can make another touch here and send the ball upfield. Levels and levels. At the start, you just want to get comfortable with getting your car flat, getting back to like sort of that grounded position, that grounded state that you're comfortable with by air rolling left if you're on the left wall, or air rolling right if you're on the right wall. And we're just trying to make contact with this ball. Front flips to start out, then eventually we're speed flipping and maybe even trying to generate like soft touches like this so we can follow up the ball. Eventually we start to use wall dashes. I would say backboard clears start to become really important in high diamond, low champ. We need to get consistent with these so we can follow up the ball and get it off defense. So you can use this pack to practice getting flat. There are some wall shots in here where you have to jump before the bounce. If you jump after the bounce, you'll be too late. Very useful pack to level up your backboard clears and your wall clears after you can just get through the basic level of just hitting the ball. Sometimes we'll want to come off the wall and flip to meet it. So we'll want to jump, float, and then flip into it. This is a great pack that you can use to combine all the other skills we mentioned in training, whether it's holding your flip, whether it's hitting the ball with the corner of your car to get maximum power, whether it's I don't know, double tapping. We're not really there yet. We'll get there in a second. This is a great pack. Aerial off wall. Start this in champ. Start this in champ. I think if you're diamond, this is probably a little too early for you. But that's the idea. The best defensive mechanic is backboard clears. They are essential at the high ranks. And if you don't know how to do them, you won't last long. Those are the top 40 mechanics, and the top 5 were air roll shots, speed flips, backboard clears, air dribbles, and basic flicks. specifically the diagonal flick. That's my list. There are a lot of mechanics in my list that I'm just not mentioning, like stalls, pogos, ceiling shuffles, 2-wheel drift dribbles, like on the side of your car, turtle flicks, like literally going like this, spawning the ball in your car and then flicking it, using the turtle flick. Oh, gotcha. Didn't expect the ball to pop there. Wait, maybe this is the new meta? Bang, look at that flick. Oh, you would have got cooked if you're on defense. But jokes aside, I didn't include any of those. And before you guys go comment, but Luke, my goat Reddles, I'm Diamond 1, by the way. My goat Reddles used a stall one time in a 1v1 match. Are you sure I shouldn't learn it? Yes, I am positive. And also, this is my list. And also, I love you, Slater. I don't know why I'm making fun of Reddles viewers. If you disagree with my list, definitely comment below and let me know. That way I can ban you. Hee. Joking, but not joking. No, joking. I'm joking. I actually love haters in the comments. Haters, please comment below about how bad my list is. It will increase the performance of the video. And if you loved the video, also comment below. And maybe even if you loved the video, comment at the haters to kind of provoke them, because they're very fragile creatures, especially the Rocket League ones. So maybe if you see somebody hating in the comments, like just poke them a little bit. I would really appreciate it because it would help the performance of my video. Thank you. I would have hit that if I was warmed up. Just remember that.